You got to put 50 grand on the deal.
Jesus.
Case of champagne for Danny. And here's the contract, just change the top names. We had all these mad people dressed up as Batman, people throwing their kids up. It was just crazy. I think between myself, Bello and Sench were the only three people that believed it could be Drake.
Welcome to the Hot Seat. Today we have Trenton Harrison Lewis, who is a legend in the music business, someone who's been very good to me over the years and someone I really respect. We're going to talk about his journey in the business and how he got into the business and some of the things that have helped him push on to be as successful as he is. So first of all, thank you, Trenton, for coming in. Really appreciate it. Thank you for travelling all the way out here. It's a bit of a trek, but yeah.
It's good. It's good. The setup's good. So why not do it where your setup is good?
Thank you. I'm going to jump straight in, and I want to sort of. So a lot of people that don't know you yet. I'm obviously in the industry, you're very well known, but the whole point of us doing this was to try and inspire young people to get involved in the business and look at the business from another angle other than just being front-facing and being an artist. I just want to sort of get some understanding of sort of pre-Trenton the manager, how you got into the business and what you were doing in sort of throughout your youth and a bit of your family dynamic before you sort of decided that the business was the right path for you.
I was always into music.
Yeah.
And I left school to be an apprentice bus mechanic. That's why I left school at 17. And between leaving school and getting a job, I worked in the Wimpy, flipping burgers. And then I joined London Transport. And, you know, I was always into music. And I used to help run a sound system called Rap Attack in West London. And we used to do all the, you know, going to all the warehouses, all the illegal raves and all that kind of stuff with the DJ and the team of us. Alistair was the DJ, Milton ran it and kind of owned the set, and me and a few guys that was working with him, his brother Gary, and there was a few other guys, you know, humping speakers and doing certain things. I think they still do the carnival. They're on All Saints Road, Rap Attack at the carnival even now. So we used to do all that, and then there was two girls that used to come on the set and used to rap.
Yeah.
And they were called the Wee Papa Girl Rappers. And eventually they got a deal with Jive Records. I think they signed for a pound.
A pound? What?
A pound.
Why a pound?
That was just the deal in those days. No money, no advance. They signed. I remember seeing the contract, and you had to sign for something.
Yeah. So to make a contract binding.
To make the contract binding, so they signed for a pound. The first record they put out was Faith, which was remixed by Teddy Riley.
Oh wow!
The second record they put out, and this was in the 80s.
Yeah.
86, 87. They put out a record called We Rule.
Okay.
And I started looking after them before that record came out. That record
You were the manager?
Flew. Yeah, I was the manager.
Yeah.
The record just flew. It was funny, I was looking at the video the other day and I was looking underneath it. In so many countries it was number 1, it was number 7, it was number 7 here in the national charts.
Yeah.
I think it was number 1 in Holland,
massive.
It was number 1 in Sweden, it was all over the place. And that kind of started the journey. At the same time, Leo Cohen, who's now global head of music,
at YouTube.
Yeah. wanted to. I was looking for a US manager at that time.
For the act?
For the Wee Papa Girls, and he came forward and said that he wanted to manage them. So they started getting managed by Rush, and Rush Management was the management team for Def Jam.
Oh wow!
So Rush was owned by Russell Simmons.
Yeah.
And so we started doing some business. They started looking after the girls, and then about 3-4 weeks later, they asked me to open the Rush office here. And at that time, there was an office here, but it wasn't really, I don't know what it was doing, but it was run by Patrick Moxey and John Reed.
Oh, wow. Two big legends.
They were doing the Rush office here. So anyway, they left, went and did their thing, and I came and picked it up. And at that time, I think Rush had like maybe 35 acts.
Okay.
And all the big ones that you can think of now, they were running them.
The big American acts?
Big American acts. LL Cool J, Run DMC, Public Enemy, De La Soul, Tribe Called Quest, Big Daddy Kane, Schoolie D. They had all of them. Eric B. and Rakim. They had the whole lot of them. So I kind of flew into that role as being the manager outside of North America.
Wow.
So it was a bit crazy because, you know, most of the records went through Def Jam that was going through Sony at the time.
Okay.
So I would have to go to New York, pick up DATs, bring them back.
For those who don't know what DATs are, well, DATs, in this current world, DATs are...
digital audio tape. So it's like a small VHS, but that's what everything was mastered on. So I would have to go to New York, pick up the tapes.
This is pre-internet,
pre-mobile phone, pre-everything. You on faxes. I'd have to go to New York, go studio, go in with Chuck and Flavor and them in the Public Enemy studio, pick up the DAT, come back, and actually explain to the team at Sony, you know, Redman is one man, it's not 6 man, and Method Man is 1 man, and
because they didn't have any idea.
They didn't have any idea of what the culture and what that music was, but it was really moving.
Yeah.
So I did that for a while, and that's really how I kind of started and been able to have the relationships with people like Rob Stringer.
Yeah.
Because Rob Stringer at that time was working at Sony as a marketing manager.
Oh, okay.
So he was there as a marketing manager. Lucian was doing publishing. He was over at Polygram. So I kind of grew up with those guys and come through. And then one of the other bands that I took on while working for Rush was a band called Technotronic.
Oh, wow, yeah, I remember that.
Who did Pump Up the Jam. So I was looking after a guy called MC Eric, who then auditioned to go into Technotronic. He then went into Technotronic, and then he met and brought the girl that was in Technotronic out to meet me. Because what nobody knew at that time, Technotronic, there was a young girl from Belgium that had written the lyrics to Pump Up the Jam. Yeah. Pump Up the Jam was a instrumental, and she had written the lyrics to Pump Up the Jam to get some studio time.
Got it.
But they thought that she wasn't aesthetically good enough to front it.
As in she wasn't pretty.
She was hip hop. She was just hip hop girl, just out there doing her thing. Mum's Belgium, dad was from Zaire.
It's a black girl.
Mixed race girl. So they put a model in front called Felly with the blue lips. So if you look at the front of Technotronic when it started, it had a model, black model with blue lips, and but she couldn't speak English.
Oh, okay.
She could only speak French. So even when they had her out on the road doing stuff, they would just do the thing. She'd mime over the top and then be out.
Wow.
Because she couldn't interview or do any conversation. Anyway, Eric brought Manuela to see me, and I was just like, I phoned Leo and I said, this is crazy. This girl, she's great, she can speak, she does everything, but they don't want her to front it. So I said, you know what, and they brought them over to do a video. Yeah. Got Eric in it. And then I said, let's just stop it here. So I said, right, we're not doing the video. So it went bananas because she was signed, Technotronic was signed individually around the world. Okay. It was a company out of Belgium that had made the record.
So she did individual licensing.
Individual licensing around the world. Yeah. So the American license was done with a company called SBK. Okay. That then turned into EMI. And it was run by a guy called Copperman, Charles Copperman. Okay. and another guy called Martin Bandier.
As in
Martin
wow, the
Bandier.
legendary publisher.
Right. So those two guys ran SBK, and they had like a hit guy called Arm Anden.
A hit guy.
Well, a hit guy as in their muscle guy.
Right.
Their guy that sorts out the problems.
I thought you meant a guy who delivers hit songs.
No. They had the guy that
mop up the mess.
Yeah, mop up the mess. So here I am in UK. They've come to shoot the video in the UK, and bang, there's no video. So,
and you're the reason that
and I'm
video.
the reason why.
So
Armour flew over. We had this conversation. Who are you? And because she had no manager, she had no one. So then, anyway, we sorted it. They did the video, and the record just flew, and all the records flew. But I can't even remember if it's the #1 in America. But that put us on the road. It introduced me into the
business,
into the business on a wider scale. In the end, EMI bought SBK, and Charles and Marty ran it. Ran EMI, and then Marty then went on to run EMI totally for the world until somebody else took over, and that was kind of my introduction into the business. Technotronic toured the world. We did the Blonde Ambition tour with Madonna around the world on a jet with every stadium. It was crazy.
When was this? Are you talking like late 80s, 90s?
I'm talking about late 80s. You'd have to...
Yeah.
I was maybe 90, beginning of the 90s.
Okay, so how long did Rush go on for? So how long was you a part of that?
Rush, we went on... I think I stopped doing Rush when I started managing Goldie.
Okay.
I think that's when it kind of the Rush thing, because they obviously was concentrating more on what they were doing, and it was really weird because at that time the hip hop acts couldn't tour in America because there'd been some deaths and what have you, the insurance for the guys to perform in America was really, really high. So they started coming into Europe.
So they did that out of necessity because they couldn't tour in their own territory?
Yeah, they couldn't tour in their own territory because the promoters couldn't get insurance for the buildings and for the venues because there'd been some fatalities in those venues as far as I can remember. Okay. So that's when the De La Soul did 3 Feet High and Rising, I was the first. I brought them and gave them to Bob Angus at Metropolis, and we did the Forum. That was the first show they did ever. In the UK, they came in and did the Forum, Public Enemy, all of them was coming through me.
So you sort of had this amazing experience of working with some real global talent, and you've sort of been the lead figure in Rush for the UK and for the rest of the world outside of America. That sort of fades out, and then you find Goldie. How did you come across Goldie? And tell me about that time of sort of that explosion in business.
It was really, I think... I'd known of him, and we met in Camden High Street. And I said, "What are you doing?"
Randomly?
Just random. I said, "What are you doing?" He says, making music, doing this thing. He had Ruffledge Crew. He was out there, was making some music. And he started telling me about this album, these tracks that he wanted to make. And that who he was with Rob, he was working with Rob Playford, and also... Digo and them over at 4 Hero. Okay. That was part of his crew, 4 Hero. They really supported him. And he'd done some Ruffledge Crew stuff, and he'd started the name Metalheads, and he started doing stuff. But he wanted to make this album, which he was called Timeless. And he had, crazy ideas. He ended up getting with Rob Playford, who was an engineer, producer. And they made the album in Rob's kitchen in Hemel Hempstead. Okay. It was crazy. Maybe Stevenage.
Oh, Stevenage.
Stevenage.
Yeah, still far out.
Yeah, it was that kind of area, and so it was mad because they would have to work in the daytime, and then when the guy next door came, they'd have to mix on headphones.
Oh God!
They'd have to mix the record
turn the sound off
and turn the sound really down, and they'd literally have to mix it. So anyway, they made the record, and so Goldie said, "Yeah, I've got the first single." I said, okay, let me hear it. And he played me the track, and it was 21 minutes long.
Wow, 21 minutes long.
21 minutes long.
Oh, mate.
And I was like, I'm sitting there thinking, this guy's crazy. Because how am I going to sell this? How am I going to sell this? So I had to go into, the A&Rs. This time drum and bass was getting a feeling back.
Yeah.
Each area had their thing, Jump Up and Bookham and Ronnie Size, and everybody had their things going on. And I remember sitting in people's offices and putting the DAT in and pushing play, and having to sit there for 21 minutes.
That must have felt like months.
Why?
In a room.
With guys, A&R guys, that the attention span of a goldfish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? One's found the tank and they're like, oh, where are we? And they've got to have a go round.
Oh, mate, that's
and
a really good analogy.
sit there and sit there for 21 minutes while this track took you on a journey, which was immense. It was immense, but because of how orchestral it was and how emotive it was and how it moved them, they just snapped it up. I remember sitting with Pete Tong and playing him the track, and it was just like, it was everybody that heard it. Once they heard it, was just, Vangelis, they came out with, and I'm sitting there thinking, this was made in this guy's Stevenage in his kitchen.
You're getting all this artistic appraise.
Oh, yeah, they were going crazy. So I signed it to Sass Metcalf at Warner Chapel first. We did the publishing there. And then I had the paperwork and did the deal to sign it to Clive Black.
Clive
Black was working at Warner's. And then our good friend Danny D called me, because me and Danny,
we've
been tight for years. He brought me in the business, really. And he phoned me, said, because he had D-Mob at London Records at that time, he phoned me, said, Pete Tong wants it. And I was like, I'm signing to Clive. This was like a Friday. Oh, I said, I'm signing to Clive on Monday. I got the paperwork.
Long form, signatures, copies have been printed out. Yeah, you're nice.
I got the copies to sign. So he said, Pete's driving me mad. Just take a meeting with him. Da, da, da. So I phoned Goldie. I said, Tongy's on it. Should we just take a meeting? So he said, yeah. So I never forget, there was a breakfast cafe that we used to meet at in England's Lane called Maria's.
Okay.
So we got Tongy to come over there. Me and Goldie went over there.
It's over the weekend?
This was on the Saturday.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
So we're sitting there on the Saturday, and Tongy just went into Goldie. And he knew it. Do you know what I mean? He knew. A lot of people wanted it but didn't understand it. Yeah. But Pete Tong understood it.
Because of what he is as a DJ and the culture he lives in.
EDM, he's in that world. He really understood it. Clive understood it, but not as deep as Tongy did. So anyway, at the end of the conversation, we had our breakfast, and he talked, and Goldie talked, and they had references that were, mutual. And then, so Tongy said, I said to Tongy, if you want it, you got to put 50 grand on the deal.
Jesus.
Case of champagne for Danny. And here's the contract, just change the top names. There's no negotiation.
Yeah, that's it. There's no room. This is it.
Nothing. So he took it, and Monday we signed.
Jesus. Wow.
We signed to London.
Amazing.
It was mad. It was mad. I think Clive never talked to me because Clive was big in Warner's at that time.
Of course.
And he had
a reputation too.
And we'd gone, and they're more rebellious, and everybody, and we'd had all the meetings and everything. And I just, for me it was business.
Yeah.
And for me it was someone that Goldie had felt they had a stronger relationship with, even with that one conversation. Yeah. So we signed, and that was history.
Which brings me to a point. So one of the things I want to touch on, and I think it's partly why you've managed to weather the business for so long. When you're in those situations and you're doing deals where it's super hot and you've got these big characters from record labels that are all telling you to come with them, and basically you're walking down the aisle towards a deal, how do you handle sort of saying no at the end of those sort of situations? And what would you advise is the best way to sort of deal with that as a young entrepreneur, sort of manager, trying to sort of navigate the business?
They taught me it.
Yeah. Who taught you that? Sorry.
All of them that I'm dealing with
Okay.
taught me how to say no.
Okay.
Because as a manager, I've been told many, many times.
Yeah.
I've got my act that I believe in. I've got my act that I believe in. My whole heart. I've spent my money. I've nearly gone bank, and someone sitting there that I know doesn't know telling me no.
Yeah.
And I just got to get up because I might have to come back to him again. So I can't slap him.
No, brother.
I can't grab him up. I can't. What are you talking about? You're an idiot. I can't say nothing. You know what? Yeah, okay. You're not feeling it. So I get up and go about my business. So when it's in reverse, I feel no way.
Okay. So you basically take on that energy and give it back.
Just give it back. And I've had it. I've had people phone me. I said, don't come off my phone. Are you having a laugh? Yeah. You're phoning me upset. Don't be upset. Because I'm never upset.
Yeah.
It's good to say no. And I just give them back the same energy. And it's business.
Yeah.
It's business for them. They'll go home to their families and I go home to my families. My thing is to be 110% for my artist.
Yeah.
Or for the person I'm representing.
Yeah.
And that's it. Do or die.
Yep, I love that. I love that energy. That's good. And no, I think a lot of people can learn from that because we all see scenarios where you have an artist that's super hot. We have every month. You've seen it. You obviously where you're at ADA at the moment. You've seen more than most people.
You've had it.
But every month there's an act of the month that is super hot that's doing the rounds, and you've got these managers.
I can do this with Barclays Bank.
Okay.
I can work with anybody because I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And with me and the people that I work with, we bring that energy.
Yeah.
I'm never going to a record label and sitting there and waiting for them to deal with my act.
Yeah.
We already know the act is sufficient. They know what's going on. I know what's going on. I know how to work it inside and out.
Yeah.
So if Barclays Bank gave me the money, I could do the same thing. Maybe it's not having the result because nothing's a guarantee.
Yeah.
But even now, how the teams are, you can hire everybody you want to hire.
Yeah.
There's nobody that you can't get to hire to work on your project.
Yeah.
So, even now it's worse. Back then it wasn't so easy because there was people tied in and retainers and you couldn't really work it because they're in there, but still you have to be able to work with the teams that are given to you. And I can work with any team.
Okay, amazing. And so Goldie's had massive
in,
success,
off and running. It was crazy. It was crazy because his part of the drum and bass was, orchestral. It was emotive. It's moving.
It sort of transcended the genre.
Yeah, everybody was doing their thing. Ronnie Size was doing his thing, and all of them, Crust and For Hero, and they're all doing their thing. But he captured an area that nobody else captured. And, we had crazy people reaching out to him. I was talking about it the other day, we went to LA and we were doing different tours as well. Because the thing with Goldie is, he never wanted it to be the singer and the music, which it was. So my job was to put Goldie in front of it, and make him the star of it. It wasn't the vocals, it wasn't this, it wasn't that. It was him. That's all I focused on.
And it's his vision, the whole sort of thing.
Yeah. So even the first time we did it live, we did it for. I can't remember this program. There was a program on the TV which was like a live show, and we had 13 people on stage.
13?
To do the music. I had strings. I had Mel Gaynor, the drummer from Simple Minds.
Yeah.
He was the drummer. He was the only drummer that can drum and bass at that time, speed. So he was the drummer. I had Tim on bass, and then we had Diane Charlemagne, the vocalist. Yeah. Goldie was on keyboards, triggering the samples.
Yeah.
And because he couldn't play keyboards, we had sticky labels on the keys, so he could play the samples. It was wicked, and we had, I can't remember that program, but it was like one of those. It was like the old grey whistle test, but it wasn't.
Okay.
There was another program that was going out at that time. This kid from Manchester was the.
Is that The Word?
It might have been The Word.
So I'm showing my age as well. Like, I remember that.
It might have been The Word. Yeah,
really important
that
show.
was the first time we did it live. And like I said, we had 13 people. We had strings. We had everything.
I remember that presenter Terry something.
Yes. Just so that we could, so that people could appreciate it, that it's music and it can be live.
Yeah, got it.
Because everything else was not a band.
Behind the desk.
It was the DJ and the person. But we wanted to make sure that every time you saw it, you didn't just see the vocalist, because Goldie, for me, because I managed him, was it.
He's the star.
He's the star, and I had to make him the star and not let it slip into anything else. So, we did tours. We went on tour with Bjork around the world. We was on tour with the guy that runs. I'll come back to it. But we did a lot of tours. So, we did Glastonbury in the night. It was crazy.
So what came after Goldie? What was the next?
Goldie came after. Technotronic. You had Goldie. You had all the rap acts. I looked after a guy called Lifford, who was in Artful Dodger.
Yeah, I remember Please Don't Turn Me On. Big tune.
So I had him.
That's a big song. What happened to him?
You know what? We did a deal. We did a deal with London Records for him to do an album, and
he was meant to be the next Craig David at the time. I remember
we flew out to LA and met with Raphael Sadiq, who was
legend.
part of Tony Tone,
the Lucy Pearl Records,
right?
Legendary
for him to do Lifford's record. And it was really weird. We went out there, had time with him. Yeah, it was going to happen. And then when Lifford came back, the guy that was A&R in Lifford, it was at London. And I don't think London wanted to spend the money.
Got it. The budget
for him to work with Raphael Sadiq in LA to make that record. You know, I took him out. I knew Raph. I took him out. We did the meeting and everything, and it was set to go. And I think they convinced him. There was an A&R guy that was A&R-ing him, and he convinced him that he doesn't need enough Raphael Sadiq.
What he needs is to not spend that budget, basically.
And I was like, I remember telling him, I can't remember the guy's name. He went to ministry and he was just like, oh yeah, I don't need Raphael Sadiq. And I looked at him and I was like, have you lost your mind?
Where did that come from? Yeah.
Have you? And then I just kind of parked it as an idea and let them do their thing and let them, and then let it
run its course.
It ran its course, and eventually it kind of petered out because it wasn't. That would have made it something different.
Yeah, of course.
Being here with the producers that were here were not of the caliber of Lifford. Yeah. Even now, he opens his mouth.
But I remember the vocal was so immediate. It's so good.
He's next level. Yeah. Lifford is next level. And I met Lifford because I used to manage a band called Public Demand that was signed to ZTT.
Okay.
Trevor Horn made a record with them called Invisible.
Okay.
And they wrote that record because we went to New York and we were flagging cabs, and we went to New York to work with Sturkin and Rogers.
Oh wow!
Who are the producers of Rihanna?
Yeah.
And I remember it was snowing. People were getting dragged down the street on skis in New York on Broadway. It was freezing, and we couldn't get a cab. And they went in studio and wrote this record called Invisible.
Okay.
That black people were invisible and they couldn't get a cab in New York.
Right. Okay.
And that was the record, and Trevor Horn made it. That was a good record for them.
Yeah.
But then I took Lifford out, and we did other things.
Okay, so you've done Lifford, you've done Goldie. What was the next sort of like milestone? At what point did you sort of? I want to touch on the Amy Winehouse Foundation thing that you were involved in.
It was kind of from doing Goldie, I'd always worked with Ray Cosbert.
Yes.
Big Ray at Metropolis.
Metropolis, yeah.
And he was doing Metropolis, and he was managing Amy.
Yeah.
And his thing was he wanted to do other artists as well. So we came together, and I went to work with him at Metropolis as a manager with my acts and with his acts, so that I was able to help him manage other things as well as so that he could focus 75% or 80% on Amy, and then we did others.
Yeah.
And at that point is where I met Giggs.
Oh, really? Okay. How did that come about?
Giggs came for a meeting. He stopped.
What, Metropolis?
Yeah, he stopped. Wasn't managed by Jack and Archie anymore.
Yeah.
And he's looking for a manager.
Yeah.
And I think Ben Beardsworth called Ray, said we would take a meeting, and we took a meeting.
And was Buck the manager as well then?
No, Buck was his mate at that meeting, because one of Giggs' best mates is Buck's older brother.
Oh, okay.
Judd.
Okay.
So Buck came with the meeting with him, and I think Buck had played a role within it since the Jack and Archie. I don't know if it was management or what it was, but they came to see us, and you know, my kids had told me about Giggs. I hadn't really been in that
sort of
space, but my kids have been talking about Giggs and Wretch 3-2. You know that when he did that video when he was covered in oil.
The Giggs,
Wretch 3-2.
Wretch 3-2. Yeah, I do.
He did.
He
He had a sleeve. So my eldest son had been talking to me about them for yonks, but I hadn't been in that space. But they came to see us, and we had a conversation. I was like, yeah, let's get in this. And then Buck was there. I said, why don't you do it with us?
Yeah.
We'll split the commission, and you do it with us, and we'll just do it.
I feel like since you, obviously, Giggs was like a street legend from before that. But I think when you and Buck came together on the project, it seemed to sort of really start to build really quickly.
It's only because between Ray and the live sides, because at that point, Giggs hadn't done any live shows.
And that's because he was being blocked.
Yeah, he was being blocked for doing live shows. Even the first couple of shows we were trying to do, we said, let's do them through Metropolis. And I remember we had Under the Bridge, 650 people sold out. And the day before, the police went there and said they had intelligence, and the show got pulled.
So what happens in that scenario? People that don't understand how the police can stop a show, what's the sort of what would normally happen?
Well, the police would go to the promoter, and they would say, we've got intelligence. The promoter said, what intelligence? They said, we can't tell you. But the promoter then knows that, number one, the show can't go ahead, but number two, when they come up for their licence again, the police would then have something to say about it. Well,
and do the police approve the licences for all venues? Yeah,
there was a thing called a 696, I think it was called, which was a form that you had to fill out and tell the licensing who was doing that show.
Okay.
Names, addresses, blah, 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 and they would then use that form to stop the show.
Got it.
They say that form's not there anymore, but it's there in
spirit. It's another version of it.
It's in spirit.
It's in spirit.
Yeah, definitely there in spirit. So we couldn't do any shows. So Giggs came up with the idea of doing a private show.
Okay.
So what we did was he came up with the idea. Obviously, Buck and I had to execute it. So he was working in a studio in Camden called Sensible Studios.
I know it really well because I used my end-up stuff was done there.
It sure was. So Sensible Studios had a rehearsal room.
Yep.
So what we did was Giggs came up with this idea. He put it on Twitter that he was inviting people he was going to do a show, and he was inviting people to the show, and you would have to send in a clip of why you should be one of the people.
What, like a video clip?
Like a video clip.
So you got to basically audition to come to the show?
So you auditioned to come to the show.
I like that.
It was only 50 people, and you could bring a guest.
Okay.
So we had all these mad people dressed up as Batman, people throwing their kids off. It was just crazy. Anyway, we chose the 50 people, and then what I did was I put a coach on.
Yeah.
in King's Cross. So me and the missus went into King's Cross, and she had a clipboard, and we had the 50 winners come to the coach, get in on the coach, and then we drove them. So nobody knew where it was.
Gosh, yeah.
It was a secret gig. So we drove them round to Sensible. They got off, went in, gigs started, the show went crazy. Nihal was at that show.
Oh, wow.
Gigs was in the middle of the crowd. There's like 120 people. He's in the middle, rhyming, and the whole place went bananas. So that was the first one. And Kian, who is still our promoter to that day, he was about 18. He put that show, we did that show with him. And then we did another one at the 100 Club, where I did the same thing, but this time we sold tickets, but they still had to meet. We had 3-4 coaches at King's Cross.
Yeah.
You give your ticket, you get on the coach, everybody got on the coach. Then we drove the coach round the back of the 100 Club.
Yeah, okay.
100 Club didn't even know who was coming. Until we went into the back and downstairs. And as they were going downstairs, the security saw who it was.
Yeah.
Bang, he's on stage. We did the show.
Too late to do anything about it.
Too late to do it. We knocked that show out the box. And then the first real show we did was at the Forum.
Okay.
We did it at the Forum. Ray and them managed to get us into the Forum. And the Forum usually has 13 security.
Yeah.
At that show, we had 47. Every
Why
kind of
is
dog.
that? Oh, wow.
Kind of dog you can think of. Because what they were telling Academy Music Group, who owned the Forum and all those other shows, they were telling them there was going to be problems.
Yeah.
But because the Academy Music Group is part owned by Bob Angus, who owns Metropolis, the conversation...
A lot easier.
It was a lot easier, but it was still hard.
Okay.
Up until 7 o'clock, the doors opened at 7:30, and up until 7 o'clock, me and Buck in the back with Helen, who was the district manager of Academy Music Group, the police, the security, everything.
What, reassuring them that
reassuring them
okay.
that this is going to go on.
Mad.
He had guests. You had to have the passport details, address, real names, everything. They wouldn't let them back. It was mad. But we pulled that show off, and it was funny. I was out front with Helen, and I was saying, is this, because it's just 15, 16, 18-year-old white kids out coming to see the show. And I was like, is this what you thought? Is this what you thought it would be?
Yeah.
Because as far as the police was concerned, every gang in London's coming to turn up. It's going to be like Warriors.
What, the film?
So that went off, and then that was fantastic. That show was amazing. Wow. And then the next show we did, we did Landlord. We did the album Landlord. We signed that to... I think it was Red or Pinnacle at the time.
Yeah.
No, it was before the Orchard.
Oh,
before the Orchard.
I know what you mean.
The distribution company. Red. It might have been, it might have been Sony Red. I think it was Sony Red. To Ian Dutt and Steve Crane, they wanted it. They really supported it. We signed it there because by that time he was out of the.
We signed to XL for a bit.
XL. He was out of the XL deal. And so I said, we can do it ourselves. Yeah. We don't need to be in a label where they're trying to get you to work.
Was it Island Records?
No, it was at XL. Okay. We don't need to be a label that's trying to get you to work with people that you don't want to work with, and not do stuff that they wanted to work with all kind of mad people. So we did that. We did Landlord, and then we put Landlord out. It did really well, and then we did the show, but he was still independent at that time. Yeah, we did the show at, and it was really funny because I tried to get a deal from Island Records. Yeah, and they offered him some crazy deal, which was nonsense.
Crazy good or crazy bad?
Crazy bad. Okay. Crazy bad. So I said, okay, you know what? Let's just chill on that for a minute. And we went and we did Hammersmith. Okay. 5,000 in Hammersmith and sold it out. And after that show is when we then Ireland then came back to us.
Or something more reasonable.
Well, they came back to us. It was really funny because even the first meeting was in, because we'd been there before, we'd had those conversations. The first meeting was in, the then governor picked up the deal that he'd offered and tore it up. let's start from a new place. And it was funny.
After one show?
Because him and David Joseph was in the top where it was next level.
Yeah.
I don't think I've been to a show like that at that time that was just groundbreaking. It was off the chain. So we did a deal with them, with Ireland, and put records out and kept it moving.
Well, it was a great time.
Kept it moving. It was good. It was really good. The gigs music choice.
Yeah.
And Buck's awareness of the culture is second to none.
Yeah.
Second to none.
I see it. We all see it. I think whatever's happened, that gigs and the team around him have done like an unbelievable.
That's why he's still the landlord.
Job. Yeah, he is.
Do you know what I'm saying? And I don't think although there's people that have come and achieved more.
Yeah.
He's still got the anthem.
He's still got the culture. I think you can do numbers. You can do numbers, but the cultural impact. And I think I saw him on Drink Champs recently. It's so good to see an English person on there holding their own.
Yeah, he's been going to America for years.
Yeah,
it was really weird. All the gunners and the young thug, he's known them for years.
Yeah,
and when they come to the UK, they come to him.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I've seen that with Drake. I've seen that with everyone.
With all of them, they'll phone up or do their due diligence. Who should we be? And they got to be with him.
Yeah,
they got to be with him. He's still that guy.
I want to sort of touch on ADA and sort of your role there.
Yeah,
and I know you've been sort of really significant in the Central C process and him having success. I know you were advocate super early, but how did that all come about? So first of all, your role at ADA come about, and secondly, why do you think the ADA thing was so important for the Central C to get to where he is?
I had known Max Lussard, who was the global chairman of Warner's for many years, for when he came into the business.
Yeah.
He used to work at Mushroom and Raucous, and so I've known Max a long time, and I went to see him, and he said to me that this is when he was running everything. He said that he was bringing over Tony Harlow from Australia to run the UK. I'd known Tony Harlow for many years. I dealt with him at V2 because I had an artist there signed called Rag F.
Yeah.
I dealt with him at EMI, so we'd crossed paths over the years. And he said when he comes in, you should see him. Tony came in, I reached out. Tony said, come in and have a sit down. I went and sat with him and the head of business affairs, James Radici, at that time. And at that time, there was a lot of George Floyd still floating around. Yep. And my thing was, they asked me to come in, and my thing was, if I'm coming in, nobody's nurturing anybody. Nobody's, who have the culture got to talk to within here? You've got, your staff here are leaving. Yeah. They're leaving the company because for me, as far as I'm concerned, and the people that I'm speaking to, they don't have any pull here. There's nobody they can talk to of a level. So if I'm coming in, that's what I want to be involved in. I want to be involved in nurturing, talking to the artists, talking to the managers, talking to your staff, and being able to do that. So they brought me in, they offered me a job there. And it was funny, I remember Tony phoning me up because HR couldn't really, wanted to name what I do.
Okay, give it some
and Tony was like, they want to make you head of black music at ADA. And I said, does that mean I couldn't sign Eminem or I couldn't sign Ed Sheeran? What does that actually
what that mean? Yeah.
And I was like, you know what, whatever, you're paying, you can call me the postman if you like. I don't care what you call me. So then he came up with the name Senior Vice President of ADA, and then he also made me Senior Vice President of the other frontline labels, so I was able to help everybody.
So you can go into each label, Atlantic or Warner,
or they could come to me.
Yeah, you can help the executives.
Yeah, executives and the A&R, and that's what I was doing, and that's how I got to.
Central C.
Got to Central C. The building had other conversations, but nobody was kind of able to stick it.
Yeah.
And Lloyd
Yep.
and Toby had conversations and had it to a level at Warner's, but I don't think anybody else above the junior A&Rs wanted it.
Yep.
It was really weird. I don't think they could see it. So when I came in, they kind of latched on me because I was a black executive within there, that they could have a proper culture conversation.
I was at Atlantic, and I you were really helpful for me when I was at Atlantic, because
and could understand it. So I said, okay, and they hooked up. It was funny. They had a meeting. No, I was going to meet Bello on say Thursday. He was the manager, and. On the Wednesday, Toby had set up a writing situation at Wendy House.
For Central C.
For Central C.
Yeah.
So he's down there with Central C. As they're working, Bello was going to have a meeting with Colin.
Yeah. Colin Batzer. Yeah.
Colin Batzer and Alex Twin.
Yeah.
So he's in the studio, and them two walk in. Because Bello didn't take the meeting outside.
So he took it to the studio, another label that booked
paid
for him.
For.
Oh my days.
So he's in the meeting, and so Toby's in the meeting, but Toby's thinking that, knowing that they don't recognise who he is.
Because he's quite a junior A&R guy.
Because he's quite a junior A&R. So he phones Lloyd.
Okay.
So he phones Lloyd, and Lloyd's like, call Trenton. So they call me. So I'm like, well, let's go down there, because I know if I walk in there, everybody will be a bit shook.
But but you
ain't bit shook. So, but then Toby leaves.
Okay.
Toby says, I'm not going to be, he leaves. So we don't go down, they do their meeting, whatever, they go. It was really weird, because then I find out that the session was with Eddie Matthews.
Yeah.
Who's my mate.
Yeah, so Eddie Matthews, a publisher.
American
guy in Sweden.
Yeah, with all the big writers and that. So I could have gone down on that pretense.
Yeah, okay, got it.
But anyway, so we didn't. So the next night, Bello said to come and meet him in North London, like 11 o'clock at night. I'm telling the governor, let's go. I'm not going. Anyway, I go, have the conversation with him. And my conversations are about relationships. Everybody's got money.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a team of people, but the relationship between the artist and the manager and the manager and the label, for me, that's where you win and lose.
Yeah.
Everything else, you can, do your thing. So I had it, and that was the first week that I joined.
So you joined ADA in the first week, and you closed the hottest deal in the business.
And I closed it. But it wasn't a big deal that I closed. I closed it for two reasons. I closed it because of the deal, but I also closed it because Bello wanted a certain amount of money non-recoupable.
Okay.
And non-recoupable means you can't get it back.
Yeah, it means
you're just going to give him a check. Here you go. Go do whatever you want to do with this check. And at Warner's, they didn't want to give him the check.
Yeah.
They didn't want to give him the non-recoupable money. Nobody gets
which most majors
money.
Wouldn't have
anyway. They're not going to give him money. So in the end, I had to go to Phil Christie, who was the president at that time.
At Warner Records.
At Warner Records, and say, we can get this deal, but we need to give him this non-recoupable sum. And I think because it was my first week, and Tony Harlow had brought me to the label, I think Phil thought, well, I'll back Tony's man, and whether it win or loses, I back Tony's man.
So you can't really lose.
You can't really lose. It's very, very smart move.
Very intelligent.
So he backed me. We signed him, and the rest is history.
And you doing that sort of like leap of faith at that point, sort of really showed Bello and Central that you were serious about it.
The thing with Bello and Sench is Bello had spent a lot of money developing Sench to that point anyway.
Out of his own pocket.
Out of his own pockets. They had Day in the Life and Molly, and Bello, would always. We had opportunities to sign Central C throughout the different campaigns and the different time periods. But the thing with Bello is, I think between myself, Bello and Sench were the only three people that believed it could be Drake.
Yeah, I hear that.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. That sort of level of belief.
That sort of level of belief. So every time they came and Bello said, well, I believe this is going to happen, they wouldn't believe that this is going to happen, and then it happened.
Yeah.
So it kept moving as you went through till in the end.
And was Bello constantly noting the times when people weren't definitely on side for stuff?
No, he didn't. He didn't worry because he'd come back again.
Yeah, okay.
Do you know what I'm saying? So it wasn't a personal thing for him.
Yeah, of course.
It was a belief. I believe Central C can go all the way.
Yeah.
All the way. And nobody else did.
I remember being Atlantic and my team were going crazy for it. Everywhere you turn, the talk for months on end was who's going to get Central C.
Yeah.
Who's going to, after he comes out, when he comes out with his distro, what's going to happen with Central C?
Yeah.
And I remember it being really, like, a lot of the presidents really sort of dug in.
Yeah, they at that point, because it was where it was, everybody got dug in.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? But at the point, I remember Ed Howard calling me.
Yeah.
Maybe 8 weeks after I started working and was doing stuff with Warner's, with Central, to bring it in, and he wanted it.
Yeah.
But my job within Warner's at that time, I couldn't work for two.
Yeah.
Whoever I started with, whoever bought me the project was where I stayed. Because if not, then nobody would have bought me projects if I could flip it between.
That makes sense.
But Ed wanted it.
And with Phil already putting money down.
Phil would put his money down within the deal. He gave the non-recoupable check.
Yeah, which is
so ADA gave the check and he gave his non-recoupable check.
Yeah, fair.
So that's how it came in.
Okay.
But and Bello's still doing it.
Yeah.
He's still doing it now. He's still having the fortitude to say no.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and believe in it. And if you say no, you say, okay, cool, I'll just keep rolling and we'll see you if you want to come in on the back end.
And do you think that's the reason why he's been successful?
Yeah, 100%.
His ability to say no.
100%.
And not be wobbled by the sort of things that the industry would normally think people would.
100%, especially at this level. His ability to say no and for Sench to do what he's doing and being steadfast in how he makes his music, the marketing and the creativeness of the two of them is second to none.
Wow. Okay. I've got a really good picture of sort of your journey now and sort of the highlights of some of the key artists that you've been and made a massive difference on. One of the reasons why we do this podcast is to try and help young people get into the business. So I want to sort of ask you a question about what would you know what you know now? What would you tell a young Trenton get into the business as a manager to help him on his way?
Whatever artists that you're working with, you got to believe in them 100%.
Okay.
That's it, and you need to be in the culture that you're in. I would never manage a rock act or an indie band or a classical because I don't know it. I don't know where to take it. It's not part of me. I don't listen to it.
So lean into the thing that you actually care about.
100%.
Your natural taste is. Okay.
And now it's even easier because you can work it. When I signed NEMS, it was a situation that I'd met the manager. He'd gone round and seen everybody.
Yeah.
He went to EMI, but I kept in contact.
Yeah.
It wasn't personal.
Yeah.
He went to EMI for his artists because that's where he believed it worked. When it didn't work with EMI, he came back.
Yeah. And
I signed him to ADA.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that makes absolute sense. Absolute sense.
Don't burn no bridges because there's no reason.
Do you think the execs in like 2025, do you think these sort of senior guys, how do you think they would have weathered in the sort of like early noughties and sort of 90s? Do you think it's a similar caliber of people, or do you think it's a different sort of set of...
It's a different setup. Because you've got to develop, you've got to make records. Now you're coming with an album,
Yeah.
I can see your data.
Yeah.
I can take a punt.
Yeah.
Back then it was the real punts.
Yeah.
Because you got nothing. You got
no
no
indicators,
data.
there's nothing to say.
No, you got to take it. But that's why a lot of these, a few of these artists that are coming through now, the Charlie XCXs and the Mahalias and the Maisie Peters, they're coming above now. But these guys, what's the girl at Island?
Lola Young.
Lola Young. These acts have been signed for 5, 6, 7, 8 years.
Yep.
And been supported.
Yep.
And I think that the A&Rs now, they can see those acts, but they can't see the Drakes.
Yep.
So they can't do any due diligence on it. And the people that they've got to support to do it, I don't think they support them.
So you think that basically, I won't say presidents, but the senior guys that sort of that control all the budgets on these bigger projects are not digging in and taking a longer term view.
No, because they can see a Adele.
Yeah.
They can see a Dua Lipa. They can see an Ed Sheeran.
Yeah.
They can see that, all right, this is what it's going to be. But they can't see a Drake because they're not in the culture.
Yeah, they don't care for that.
They don't care for that. They don't listen to that.
They wouldn't
don't
go to an event
understand
like that in their own time.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but the people that they hire, they're not putting that faith.
Yeah.
Go and fall over.
Yeah.
Right, okay, you're not going to fall over again. Go and do that.
Yeah.
Go and have a go. They're not putting the same pop money into our own community.
I always think, I've looked over the years, I always think the sort of bosses of these labels generally lean into signing a reflection of their own palette, which is, if you look at any of the majors, and the acts that are doing probably the best, are normally a reflection of what the president is into themselves.
Exactly, and that's why it works. It works differently in America.
Yeah, because culturally,
there's more people. You know, it's like when
do rap or rock.
When guys used to come over, Jodeci came over here back in the day, and they'd walk into a record company, they'd be like, where's the black people at?
Yeah, it's fair.
That's why people like David Miller back in the day, when those acts used to come, David Miller would be the guy that would look after them.
Yeah.
Because there's no one in the company that could look after them.
Or understood what they would need.
I remember Tribe De La Soul flying the tour manager off the bus because the tour manager just wants to take him to McDonald's.
Yeah.
And they want yard food.
Yeah, they want Jamaican, they want Caribbean food.
They want Caribbean food. They want soul food.
Do you
know what I mean? Which is next to what we as Caribbean food.
Yeah.
I remember Tim calling me. They're throwing me. Why? Because I took them to McDonald's. That's not where I had to put my brother on with Clyde, the Rasta, to take him to go and get some Ital.
Oh God! Do you have any regrets professionally?
Nah.
Okay, I love that.
I don't. You know what it is? It's for me. You motivate you.
Yeah.
You're in charge of your own destiny.
Yeah.
And if you let anybody else stand in front of that, more fool you.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying? What we do and how this industry works, I look at it as I've been a manager since 1987.
Yeah.
I've been in corporate 4 years, 5 years. I've had to feed 10 children, 11 grandchildren on my own money, feast or famine.
Yeah.
Do you understand
your decision
what I'm
making
saying?
is totally different.
Yeah, so my thing is you can't hold me to ransom.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? I refuse for you to hold me to ransom. And I've always run myself like the top guy.
Yeah.
When I started, I never had an answer phone.
Yeah.
There'd be somebody, I'm not a plumber. I never working, they couldn't say, Trenton's working from his car on his mobile. No, you can come to my office.
Yeah.
My wife and my kids have to understand that and tie our belly on that side to be able to do it, but I have to portray that perception.
Yeah.
Because if not, they'll be like, that's that black guy, he's on his mobile and all that.
I love that. Okay, there's, just to wrap up, we've got like 2 questions that we ask.
Yeah.
There's one thing that's changed in the business while you've been here, and one thing that hasn't changed in the business? So 2 questions from your perspective. One thing that's changed over the years for you, and one thing that hasn't changed.
The openness of the business now. There's no mystery. There's no smoke and mirrors.
Okay.
Everybody can see what it is. It's either working or it isn't working.
You can't hide it behind
you can't hide
a clever
it.
TV advert. And
I can hire who you can hire. As long as I got my money, I can hire the top plugger. I can have my own conversations.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it was like this.
Yeah.
You couldn't have any conversations with anybody because they would only want to deal with the paymasters.
Yeah.
Now everybody's the paymasters.
So that's one thing that's changed. What one thing that hasn't changed? So that still rings true back then as it does now.
The attitude to culture.
Okay.
Hasn't changed enough.
Okay.
It's changed because culture is now money.
Yeah.
And the man at the top, he doesn't care.
Yeah. It still makes the money. It's still an important asset
money.
to have.
If you look at the top 100 at Billboard or the top 100
on the global Spotify,
artists on the global Spotify, culture's
in there,
hardcore in there. So everybody has to understand if this is a business, then we have to look and respect that.
Okay. Brilliant. Listen, thank you so much for coming on. I think you've got your insight is so it's so helpful and so amazing. I think a lot of people really sort of will take on board what you said and use it in their own way for themselves, and that's the whole point of us doing this. You've been along my journey since I've been in the business, so I want to thank you for all your help you've given me over the years.
You do it.
And yeah, thanks for coming on. And this is the hot seat.
Welcome. Thank you.
That was amazing.
Thank you.
That was so eye-opening. Richard's told me loads, but to hear it from
Love my guy. Love man. Thank
That's
you.
my guy.
That means a lot. That's a lot. I never had that. My generation never had this information to even take on board, sort of thing. So for me, to get the next Ade, the next young entrepreneur kid with some of that information and to take that forward in what they're doing.
that was inspiring. Honestly.
Really good, man. Respect.